Yo, should we cannibalize others with sharp teeth or butcher them with swords? Current ideologies suggest that one of those notions is correct. However, I postulate that nature is meant to function peacefully and harmoniously. Since most people are entrenched in their worldview, I must use complicated argumentation to open hearts and minds. Life's possible origins. All knowledgeable people today believe in evolution, namely the simple change in gene frequencies occurring over time within a population of organisms which involve selective breeding or species developing adaptive characteristics. I call this microevolution, evolution with a lowercase e, which is not the focus of this discussion. I discussed the two big alternatives, life forms evolving from non-living matter and evolution on a scale above the level of the species, which often postulates lower life forms evolving into higher life forms, abiogenesis and evolution, uppercase E, macroevolution, and major species specifically created by a higher being, creationism. Some postulate that life originated on other planets. However, if that were so, life either evolved on other planets, was created there, or a combination of both. Beliefs of evolution and creationism alike have existed throughout recorded history. Problem with current ideologies. Neo-Darwinian evolution is problematic since it presupposes so-called survival of the fittest, depending largely on defeating and destroying competitors. It's impossible to reconcile this belief with the idea of peace being natural. Most adherents ignore evolution's implications, while insurgents have acted on its inherent principles. Moreover, the endless search for life's origin by evolutionary archaeologists, astronomers, biologists, and others is funded by our tax money. Creationist stories from holy books is equally problematic. Besides being unscientific, religious texts following their creation stories focus upon killing and destroying competitors or mistreating others. Again, most adherents ignore their implications, while insurgents act upon their inherent principles. Therefore, I challenge the assumptions on both sides of this either-or fallacy and propose a loving, peaceful solution. A third position, evolution's dominance. Most people adhere to evolution reflexively, since teaching creationism is disallowed, even in many religious schools, while evolution is taught as fact. In public libraries, creationist books are scarce, while there's plenty on evolution. Many people from diverse fields are barred from expressing creationist views. See Expelled, No Intelligence Allowed, that film. Bestsellers by atheists audaciously claim that evolution disproves Christianity. Creationists are even ridiculed and insulted on television. However, this is understandable because those who push a literal interpretation of the Bible account are dominant. Other creationists who believe in a different creation story, or creationists who only want to explore science and biology, have no voice. Evolution would not disprove God, but many cannot reconcile evolution with a personal, loving God carefully and lovingly fashioning humanity for a special purpose. For them, this denigrates God into an impersonal first cause, which is incompatible with their faith. Again, Darwinian quote-unquote survival of the fittest is generally known as animalistic conflict instead of peace, harmony, and cooperation. Peace, harmony, and cooperation have been absent since time immemorial, but survival of the fittest ideology potentially justifies barbarianism. Almost everyone accepts some form of natural selection, but Darwinian natural selection does not consider the survival of creatures by God's grace. Many religious people embrace evolution and supposedly are not adversely affected, but this is a major stumbling block for others. Some creationists seem hostile, but considering all this oppression, no wonder they're hostile. However, if something can be shown to be true, no matter how unpleasant, I will wholeheartedly embrace it. Evolution pertains to genetics, while supposed origination of living genetic organisms from lifeless matter is termed abiogenesis. However, I combine these ideas under the umbrella term so-called evolution, capital E again, for simplicity's sake and because they are intimately related. Now, are abiogenesis/evolution as established as gravity is claimed, or do these theories have serious problems? Note the following. Science and logic or lack thereof. Thermodynamics. Though energy is constant, theorists stubbornly extrapolate the universe back into a basketball-sized mass, or smaller, supposedly exploding to create a present universe. But since the well-established first law of thermodynamics scientifically states that energy cannot be created nor destroyed, it's impossible for superfluous matter and energy to emanate beyond what actually exists. Therefore, the universe cannot create itself. Attempting to circumnavigate around the first law, some state that at velocities approaching the speed of light, which occur in nuclear reactions, energy and matter are interconvertible. However, producing nuclear energy requires a nuclear energy source which previously exists. It's theorized that stars are giant nuclear reactors, but even structures as simple as a mousetrap never emanate or evolve from nuclear reactors, which can be observed in action. So why suppose that every complex physical structure could emanate from them? The number of times this could occur in stars does not help. More and more energy simply dissipates in every direction. The second law of thermodynamics, or entropy. Everything moves from order to disorder and wears down as surely as objects on Earth fall down, not up, via gravity. With molecular motion, a minute fraction of working energy irreversibly turns into useless, symbol S, heat energy. It is postulated that molecules themselves will devolve into chaos, the universe eventually suffering so-called heat death. The only possible way to suspend entropy, stated by the third law of thermodynamics, is having objects frozen to absolute zero. Hence, perpetual motion machines cannot exist. Evolution postulates many perpetual motion machines, which additionally start themselves up. Though the perpetual gyration of subatomic particles supposedly demonstrates perpetual motion, individual subatomic particles are not subject to standard physics as molecular structures are. Rather, individual particles are subject to quantum mechanics, an entirely different set of laws. For example, parked cars have ceased moving on the macroscopic scale. They must be started to regain motion. As their paradoxical atomic motion is irrelevant to their drivers, the perpetual motion of subatomic particles is irrelevant to the theory of biological perpetual motion machines in evolution. Rather, the endless movement of subatomic particles supports the first law, since kinetic energy is motion. Although solar energy and food are continually added to drive alleged evolutionary systems, life cannot harness solar energy for any benefit without having systems already in place to process it. Solar energy cannot even help a dead plant, which already has those systems in place, become alive again, let alone creating life from non-living matter. A convoluted theory that photosynthesis evolved from respiratory chains, biomolecules, and such like is unfounded, since there's no evidence that even these constituents evolved from non-living matter. Complex heme molecules either have no evidence of evolving from non-living matter or fail to constitute a life form, depending on how heme is defined. Evolutionists cite examples of increases in order, such as jumbled bunches of paper clips naturally forming paperclip chains. However, their examples are of useless order. You're worse off with paperclip chains or rubber band balls than separate items because you must separate them for use. Granted, spontaneous formation of phospholipid bilayers in solution harness energy and can be useful to life forms. However, bilayers never develop into anything beyond themselves. They don't even begin to be alive and have no importance unless harnessed by life forms. Per metal parts coupling by shifting, they eventually uncouple, not form working mechanisms. Stay tuned for part 2.